Here's Brody Brazil.
I want to be totally transparent about the timing of what's going on here. I am recording this video precisely one day before it gets published, which means by the time you're watching this, the A's will have had comments off across all of their social media platforms for a full 365 days. That's right, a full calendar year. And in just a second, I'll give you some thoughts all the way around this. I think you can realize it's pretty crazy that this ever even happened. And now the fact that it's gone on for a full calendar year. And I'll show you now a counter, kind of a tracker that Last Dive Bar has put together. You can find this at rootedinsilence.tiny.site. Again, 364 because, well, this is a day behind now. But the point is, I also realize there might be an older generation or a different demographic that's not on social media. And they're looking at this saying, well, why is this a big deal? Comments off. It's not like they've escaped these platforms. They're still on these platforms. And I guess the analogy to understand is this. It's kind of like a talk radio show, a call-in radio show where callers are the main figure of the equation. They call in, they have some back and forth, but all of a sudden this call-in radio show stops taking calls. They shut off their phone number, and yet the show still goes on. What exactly is that call-in radio show if it's not taking calls? That is kind of the point of social media. Sure, it's to get your word and your message out there, but it's also to have some back and forth and get some traction among your fan base. And so we'll dive into all the different layers and levels of this, beginning with number one. How unprecedented this was from the beginning and how unprecedented it continues to be. I do not see any other sports team, and I don't even mean regionally or nationally or by league. I'm talking about all pro sports teams, even college sports teams across the globe. Nobody else is really doing this. Nobody's practicing this. Nobody's been put in this position. This has not been anybody else's strategy. But that's what's been going on here. And if we're just going to escape sports, let's talk about large corporations. I don't see many other large corporations, whether they're a controversial company or not. It doesn't even really matter. I don't see anybody else on a business scale doing something like this with their social platforms. And I don't just mean Twitter or X or Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. I even mean I think the A's have a LinkedIn. Even the comments on LinkedIn are turned off. There's comments on LinkedIn. And you could also understand, right, if there were certain timeframes, like we're going to shut it off for a month. This is going to be a rough month. There's going to be some things said back and forth that everybody would regret. We'll do this for the better ending of everybody here. We'll just shut it off for a month and then we'll bring it back. Well, no, this has been going on for a year. And as I'll get to in just a second, there's really no sign of it changing anytime soon. I should also mention here, there is a difference between maybe blocking certain individuals or deleting comments, and you could understand why in this day and age that might be important and might be practiced on a widespread scale. Like there's not as much wrong with that. It's a totally different equation when you're just not allowing comments to happen on a regular basis across all the platforms, for a full year. I also think from a business sense, you're flat out missing out. I mean, social channels for pro sports teams, they are huge platforms for marketing, for revenue, sponsors, branding, messaging, all of the above. I mean, social media is kind of the default conduit from fans to their pro sports teams 24/7 here in 2025. Less engagement, less comments back and forth, it simply means less traction, less value to your accounts, less value, from a monetary standpoint, but also from a tangible standpoint. Those platforms just don't mean much when it's just you kind of putting out your message and that's it. I mean, I guess there is also that question, why even have a social team right now if all of your messages are basically you talking to yourself, your own account? There is no back and forth. There is no interaction. It's just kind of a broadcast platform, even though we know social media was never meant to be that. The A's reasoning was this, and I believe this came from spring of 2024. I could only find this one quote via The Athletic. Quote, "This decision to turn comments off is in response to a lack of civil discourse in some comments, an A's spokesperson told The Athletic. Well, that may be true. And as somebody who's been on social media for 15 plus years, and I've seen the good sides, I've seen the dark sides, I've seen the times where I didn't really want to be there and I didn't even do anything wrong, but it's not always a pleasant experience. I can vouch for that, especially when you are in the public spotlight. I totally understand there's going to be some things said that, number one, you don't even like, or number two, you don't like, but they're also not true. Number three, you can't do much about it because this is what somebody else was going to say no matter what. But my point here is, sure, lack of civil discourse. I mean, why did the civil discourse begin? That's a side story. But maybe, just maybe, it's that you don't agree with the comments and you don't like to see the comments out there, and the comments kind of go against what you're trying to do on your own social platform. So you just turn the comments off. Is civil discourse basically the kind interaction, even when you disagree? Is civil discourse common on any social platform in 2025? Like, that's the whole point of being here. If you don't want to be here, just go away from here entirely. This is the old have your cake and eat it too situation. Civil discourse, I wish it were more common on social platforms. But it's not, and especially when something controversial that you started is going on. So does this go on forever? Is this perpetual? I don't know that there's an end of criticism in sight. So does that mean there's no change in this blackout, if that's what we're calling it? I mean, the A's temporary stop in Sacramento brings questions. Until shovels are in the ground and a stadium is fully done in Las Vegas, there's going to be questions. And Oakland fans, they're not going away because, you know what? They haven't even fully realized the A's departure yet, in a sense. That, yeah, the last game has already been played. But this spring and into this summer, there's going to be an absence of A's fans and their rituals and their traditions and their routines and going to the Coliseum. And that's also going to kick in a brand new wave of frustration and being angry, being upset about exactly what's gone on here. There are some people in Sacramento who are just kind of uneasy about this entire situation. Heck, there's people in Las Vegas who don't exactly know what's going on. So my point is, if you were trying to escape the criticism for just a little bit of time, when is that time going to end? I kind of feel like this strategy for them, now that they've committed to it fully, and especially for a year, do you think this is going to change at any time while they're in Sacramento or beyond? Probably not. Here's some big picture takeaways. The inability to take accountability is either one of two things here. And I mean accountability of actions, accountability of what's happening here. A team is moving twice. Oakland to Sacramento, Sacramento to Las Vegas, apparently. And so the inability to take accountability is either laziness or guilt. And I say that like laziness, it's easier to just turn the comments off. Just sweep this under the rug. Not going to deal with this. It's kind of lazy. And the other side about it is guilt. Well, we know that people don't like this, and we know that it's not the most popular thing, so we're going to shut it off. Right? You know people aren't going to be happy, and you don't even want to give them the chance to air out their grievances. So there's a little bit of a guilt factor there. This is probably not a good thing for your reputation. This is probably not a good thing to be known for. Oh, they're the one team in all of pro sports that doesn't allow anybody to comment on their social media. Like literally the only team of the hundreds out there, globally, all sports, all leagues, all levels. This is probably not a good thing to like be the only one doing. And in a sense, I mean, it only kind of makes the problems and criticisms worse. It only affirms what some people think. To continue on this path of, we're just gonna shut it off for everybody. I mean, this tightens the spiral. This is just something out there that didn't need to be, or didn't need to go on for this long. And so the last thing here is, if you want to hide, and if you don't want the comments, and if you don't want the back and forth, then hide. Just shut off all social media. What are you using it for? You can email press releases. You can email your fans directly. If they want to subscribe, great. If they don't. But why be on social media if you're going to turn off all the comments and all of the replies? Just hide. If you want to hide, just hide. So again, a full 365 days of no comments, and probably multiple more years to come. I just wanted to point this out. Again, it's unprecedented. I don't take any pride or joy in having to point this out. It's just so tangible and so relevant to the discussions we've been having here on the YouTube channel. I felt like it was something noteworthy to cover. That's the end of this video. Thumbs up down below. For you making it here all the way to the end, I'd really appreciate that. It helps me and this video and this channel. And one more thing, don't forget to go down there and hit that subscribe button. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.